Welcome back to Breaking Barriers. I am your host, Brisa de Angulo, and today I am joined with a beautiful, wonderful woman, Dahryn Trivedi. And she has an amazing, interesting nonprofit called Divine Connection International. And they do divine blessings, and they also have divinely blessed food and products. It is so wonderful to have you here today. I am so eager to learn more about you, but also for our audience to be able to learn more about what you do and how does it work.
Thank you. Such a pleasure to be here with another beautiful woman.
Thanks.
So I'm grateful, and I'm happy to share this message. I feel like it's a big message to deliver, and hopefully we'll be able to cover it all on this podcast.
I think you have so much to share that it's not, 15 minutes is very, very limited. Yeah. But let's get out as much as you can. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
I'm a spiritual leader, and we offer our services through a nonprofit organization, right? It's called Divine Connection International. And the purpose of this organization is to solve some of the most, pressing problems that humanity is facing today by integrating science, religion, and spirituality. And so we're a very empirical, data-driven, science-backed organization that uses divine blessings, right, that have been scientifically and clinically proven to improve over quality of life, to produce non-toxic, high quality and higher yield of food, right, things that science can't possibly do today, we're doing. So I like to say that where everything else stops for people, right, where conventional methods and even other alternative therapies and methods stop, that's where we start. That's where our work really begins, because we are probably the first organization that truly has an answer to all of these problems that science has reached a limit. Like one of those is our mental health, and then another one is in regards to our toxic environment and food. Right? And we have all the empirical data. We have 6,500 scientific studies and over 670 peer-reviewed science publications. And it's in life sciences, so we're talking like humans, clinical trials, as well as bacteria, viruses, fungi, plants, and animals, non-living materials. So it's not placebo, it's not psychological, It is real, and it's backed by so much science that you probably couldn't wrap your head around it.
Wow, that's fascinating. And there's so many questions and so many things that I would love to know more.
Yes.
But I think one thing that I want the listeners to know is, who are you behind your title and your work? Like, what made you come to this?
So I feel like there's no part of me that's beyond it. I feel like it's such an integral part of who I am. It's like I live and breathe this. So I don't even feel like it's my work. I feel like it's just my life purpose. It's everything I am is this. And so, but what led me to this, I guess that's the best direction to go. What led me to this is when I was a young girl, right? So I've had some background in religion and spirituality, but like I'm talking from like infancy, like before I had that conditioning and nurturing from religion, I had these direct experiences that from my knowledge, from what I understood, felt like God to me. Right? So I had these moments where my mind would go completely still, no thoughts. And from that place, just it felt like I was completely enveloped and connected to all of life. And I felt like this incredible ecstasy and joy just bubbling from my being. And it was like almost a trance-like state. And in that state, it was just a knowing, this is God. And I lived for those moments. My whole life was like, when can I have that moment again? And it took my breath away. It was so beautiful. But the problem was, like, you can't control when those moments happen. So I never knew when the next moment would occur. And the longing, the waiting was what killed me the most, because when you had something so profound and beautiful and then you had to wait for it and it was like taken from you almost, like it's like you don't know when the next moment will happen. But it gave me an idea of what God was. It gave me a reference point for God outside of conventional religion and outside of spirituality. It was a direct experience. So I had this knowledge of God. And I had this yearning to pursue that. So I felt like that was my purpose in life, was to reunite and to connect with God. It wasn't like a traditional life. I wasn't meant to, get married and have children per se. It was just like my life is for God. And so I was just kind of leading from moment to moment with this incredibly growing sadness. And obviously that, kind of disturbed my state of mind and made me very restless and full of anxiety and depression and all these different things that just built up, especially through puberty. But around the age of 8 is when things kind of changed. And I had this, I would call it it was almost like a vision or a premonition. I don't really like using that because it sounds a little too esoteric, but in that moment, it was kind of like I had this download or this moment where I had an awareness that God told me there was someone out there that was waiting for me, and this person would help me complete that journey, that this person would evolve my consciousness to the point where I could reunite with God. And also this person was going to be my husband. I had no idea this person was going to be a guru or what their role or who they would be, but I knew that this person was going to help me on that path, and I would marry them and they would be divinely gifted. And so my whole life was waiting for that person, and it wasn't until around 20 years of age in 2011 when I finally met him. And my mother actually was taking me to see him, and she had her own experience. She received a divine blessing from him, and she explained to me that from just one blessing, right? She's tried everything. She's very open spiritually. So we've tried every path and avenue you could think of, every, spiritual modality and every healing technique and conventional therapy and things like that. And nothing could improve the relationship between her husband and my brother. It was very rocky and struggling all the time, and no matter what, temporary relief, but no ultimate outcome. And the one blessing was able to do that for her overnight.
Wow.
And so she's like, I know you have this pain and this longing, so I'm taking you for your 20th birthday as a birthday gift to meet this man. And the moment I met him, I thought I was going to meet him and he would bless me to, bring this person into my life that would evolve my consciousness. And the moment I met him and I found him, I realized that he was that very person, that he was what Divine had told me about when I was 8 years old. And from that moment onward, we got married that same year. And then after that, he started blessing me to evolve my consciousness until I reached my own enlightenment in 2012. And that's when I really started this mission alongside, him. He's the pioneer and founder. But I started working alongside him to help, facilitate and promote his work and to extend the scientific research and continue blessing people myself.
Wow.
So
you've been together since then. That's
yes.
How many years?
14 years.
14 years.
14 years this July.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And you mentioned when science stops, that's where you come in. Could you give a specific example for the listeners to because it's a very new idea for a lot of people. So can you give a real example so that they can understand this?
Absolutely. There are actually many examples I can give. But one of the most prevalent, I think, that many people are aware of is our mental health epidemic, right? There are so many, we have billions, it's truly billions of people who are suffering from poor quality mental and emotional health. That's a truly accurate number. And we're spending trillions of dollars economically to be able to target and address this. And we see that when the stigma is decreasing, more people are talking about mental health, the numbers of people with mental health problems are actually increasing. And it's not just the reported numbers, the numbers are actually increasing by degree and by severity. And so what we see is that science has reached a limit in its ability to address mental and emotional health. In regards to science has always seen human or a human as a mind and the body, the brain and the body. And we're aware of the connection, right, that the mind can have an effect on the body and all those different things. And, we see all these disorders and issues that are prevalent. We see people with mental restlessness, ADD, ADHD, depression, anxiety, poor quality sleep, chronic health problems as a result of severe stress, right? We see so many things that are really all tied back to mental health, even physical health problems all tie back to mental health. Even inflammation-based models, right? Chronic diseases that are all inflammation-based are all back to the mind and stress-related, which is the greatest source of inflammation in our lives. And so science has been not able to properly address mental and emotional health because it only sees humans as the mind and body. And none of these things actually properly treat right, the true root cause of the problem, which comes from a disturbed state of mind, which is ultimately controlled and governed by consciousness. That's where spirituality comes in, because spirituality actually addresses a person as beyond mind and body with a spirit. But where spirituality comes to a stopping point is spirituality is very belief-based. It's very practice-oriented, and it's solely about faith, which is why the integration is so essential, because you have science which has provided us with so much, so we rely on it, even sometimes much more than spirituality. Like if you have a chronic health problem, right, you're more likely to see a doctor than, a spiritual guru first, right? Because we trust, we rely on science. So because of so many people who are outside of the purview of science, we have a lot of people who are also abusing that. And so they are taking advantage of other people, or they're promising a lot and people are getting disappointed and frustrated by all the different practices and models out there. And they're disappointed because of the little outcome, and they're frustrated because there's just another thing to do and another thing to practice and participate in. And we're depleted, we're exhausted and disappointed. Yeah. And so that's where we come in, is that we are the first ever spiritual organization that, without trivial parameters, when we're not talking about psychological impact, we're not talking questionnaires or blood pressure, we're talking about hardcore, health parameters in these clinical trials that we've conducted over the last 7 years, where we're actually measuring, over 130 samples in blood. We're measuring neurotransmitters, we're measuring hormone levels, we're measuring nutritional, bioavailability and all these different things that even science, even conventional methods can't touch upon. Like clothoprotein is one example that we've seen improvements by, hundreds of percentages, when science, even with its best technology and medicine available to it, can only increase marginally by a few decimals, maybe.
So to explain a little better is, once science hasn't been able to function, then comes this divine blessings.
Right.
Can you explain a little bit to the public, what do you mean by divine blessings?
So divine blessing is coming from enlightened consciousness. Because what happens when your consciousness, rises to a certain level? We talk about all these, things that you see today. Right. They're all coming from a low state of consciousness, which means that you are controlled by your thoughts. Right, your thoughts are out of control. You don't know in the next moment where you're going to be laughing or smiling, whether you're going to be disappointed or happy or stressed. That's not really in your control. And so enlightenment is when your consciousness has evolved to the point in which it's so high that you now have command and control over the mind. Like what I was telling you from my childhood, that state of stillness. Right? So imagine having that all the time. That's enlightened consciousness, where the mind is completely still and it's being controlled and governed by consciousness. You have the ability to control and command your thoughts instead of your thoughts controlling you. And from that place, right, you have this, I would say, inherent connection to divine, where you are almost like a surrogate or a channel for this power, this energy of pure, unadulterated consciousness that has the ability to transform other people as well, simply through your intention, simply through your thoughts, your well wishes for that person. You can change that person. You can evolve their consciousness, connect them with the God of their understanding through this blessing or this energy. And as a result, you get the benefits through that connection, not through me, not through my guru, but through divine, right, your own relationship, whatever that may be. We don't have a doctrine or a specific label for that. It's whatever you see God as. Even if you don't have a belief or faith in God, this doesn't need faith or belief. This works on atheists too. It works on anybody. All that you need to do is just have this blessing. And that's also something that's hard for people to wrap their heads around. They're expecting another practice or technique. We're so conditioned to expect practices or techniques that's impossible for someone to imagine that you can just simply receive and benefit from something.
So if someone out there is interested in this and be like, how can I get connected? What do I expect? What would you tell them?
I mean, everything's available on our website, divineconnection.org. You can also see all of our clinical trials, all of our scientific studies and research there. We also have all these memberships, right? It's a nonprofit organization, so all the memberships, everything goes to further advancing this mission, right? We're also working in the realms of products and things, so you can expect products in the future, blessed chickens. So even the people who, have a hard time, even though the data and the science is real and in your face, right? All you need is a blessed product without even knowing it's blessed, and you can experience the benefits. So we'll have products, but all of it will be available on the website, divineconnection.org. And you can sign up for blessings through our memberships or just connect with us and learn more, ask questions. We're ready to answer anything and all questions.
That is wonderful. And it's so interesting, a whole new realm to learn and get to know more. Yeah. Someone who is struggling out there and can resonate with this and is kind of in the verge of like, is this something I want to explore? Is this something I want to know more? What would you tell them?
I believe it goes in the same realm of, who's in control? Are you in control, or are your thoughts in control, right? When your thoughts are controlling you and you're facing, the resistance from your own consciousness, it can be very hard to break through barriers and this resistance that comes from consciousness, comes from your own mind, right? It's very difficult to look at your life outside from an outside perspective. So people need a catalyst. Right. And that's what I experienced in my life is I had a catalyst, right? This is my enlightened teacher, my enlightened guru, right? Is that people need a catalyst to help them break through barriers that sometimes even willpower alone can't do for them. So I feel like that is a key factor in people being able to optimize their potential, experience well-being, and enjoy an overall better quality of life. Beyond all the other methods I've truly seen out there, I truly believe that this is a one-of-a-kind thing. This is not your normal energy healing or Reiki. This is something that is its own category in and of itself.
That is fascinating. And again, if you are wanting to experience something that you haven't experienced before, look into Divine Connection International. And can you tell us the website again?
It's divineconnection.org.
.org. And thank you so much for being here today. It has been such a great pleasure learning more about it. And I think giving different possibilities, especially those who feel like I'm stuck.
Right.
And thank you so much for coming and sharing with us and giving this opportunity for others. And it has been an absolute pleasure having you here today.
I've enjoyed my time with you. Thank you.
Thank you.